Hey guys, so I finally got to another talk and train video. So yeah, it's been a while since I made one. Tried to stop myself from saying it's been a minute because I am obsessed with saying that. But yeah, hopefully you've been doing well. But today's topic, I am going to be talking about my academic journey and how my uni career went since I just recently graduated like 2 months ago, something like that. So yeah, this is gonna be pretty interesting because, surprise or not surprise, my GPA was pretty low in university. Like, we were on a 4.5 scale and I was like below 3.0. So ooh, embarrassed to admit it, but it is what it is. But this video is kind of just talking about sort of like a brief background on like my academic journey, kind of like how I struggled through university, any tips I could give for if you're in university or if you're still in school, whatever, and if you're struggling as well, and some other key takeaways, and then we'll just wrap it up after. But today I'm on my Dawn Warrior, I'm not on my hero. Just a little sidebar on this. I just kind of decided I wanted to play a Dawn Warrior again because I missed it. I used to play this in Chronos and I had so much fun and I miss playing it, and I've been having so much fun playing it again, so pretty good stuff. I'm trying at Penciler right now, but as you can see, everything's pretty bare, but I want to try my best to like fill this up. I also realized I don't have gloves. I forgot I didn't pick up any, but that's okay. I'm just trying to upgrade these weapons and see if I could get a pretty solid one here. I'll take this actually. Okay, so I've also been trying to Star Force this, but yeah, I made a video previously to this, like it's the same topic and everything, but I don't really like how I was doing it because I was kind of just like standing around instead of what the video is about, which is talking and training. But right now this is the intro, and yeah, so let's get into it. First, I'm gonna find a map to train in. Oh, by the way, last point before we go into the video is I used some growth potions, so I went from like 130 to 168. So yay! Anyways, yes, let me go find a map and then I'll get into my uni journey. Okay, so geez, I'm strong. So anyways, besides that, let's start with my academic background. So our journey. I started university back in September 2014, and I finished, my last semester was December 2023. So holy jeez, it was like nearly 10 years if I was honest. Let's say 9 years because I want to be like nice to myself. But yeah, I switched between like majors. At one point I was in like econ, and then I went into like environmental science studies, something like that, which was pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. And then second last was just like a 3-year general business degree with like no specialization. And then my last stop was just like a 4-year degree in accounting, and that's what I graduated with. So it's a pretty long journey. I would say most of it I was a part-time student, and oh my goodness, I hate to admit it, but I dropped a lot of courses. Just a really bad student. And honestly, if you could learn something from me, please take your studies seriously. But also, if you're struggling, I totally get it, because it is a lot, and it's an adjustment when you go from high school to university, I would say, especially if you're not used to like the hand or no hand holding. Usually I would say they still hand hold you a lot in university, but not as much as high school. But anyways, that was kind of my academic journey, basically 9 years. And then my convocation was just this year, June 2024. So yeah, I guess we can move on to like what are some of the struggles that I kind of faced with in university. Also, like tell me your, if you've gone this far into the video, let me know how your journey's been. Like, are you still in school? Are you about to graduate, or have you graduated? Are you like in a master's program? I'm curious to know. So anyways, kind of my struggles mostly was with discipline. Also, none of this is an excuse. I know a lot of this could have been fixable through my own choice. So I'm just venting and talking about my experience. I don't know if it'll help anybody, but yeah, I guess this is the point of the video. We're just talking and training. But yeah, I guess my main struggle was keeping up with the course load. I would say that I had difficulties with like managing my time was a really big one. Trying to figure out like how not to cram at the very last minute. And that wasn't something I learned until like maybe like my last 2 or 3 years is when I kind of tried to figure out like what study method worked for me or worked well for me. And for me, for most of university, I was kind of just like coasting along and kind of just winging it, if I was honest. And honestly, obviously that didn't work. It honestly took up a lot of time and effort, and it was very stressful and anxiety inducing to do everything last minute and have everything pile on you, and you're never really caught up if you do everything last minute. I mean, honestly, I still struggle with that. If I was honest, I mean, I'm currently taking a post-grad like certificate. It's called the GPA. I do have an update about that, but I don't know if I'm really ready to talk about it because I recently took an exam, but whatever. Anyways, managing your time can be very hard, especially if you're just coming in fresh and hot from university. So I would say that's number 1 on my list. The second was having a part-time job. So for me, throughout that, I had like 3 jobs that I had throughout that almost decade of school. My first one, I was working at like a grocery store in a bakery, which was honestly kind of like a very chill job to have during undergrad. And then I eventually started decorating cakes. Very random, but like it was really fun, minus like the really mean customers, but whatever. It was a very relaxing little job to do on the side. And the second job I had after that, I think I had like a 2-year gap because I was just like, I can't work at this place anymore. Even though it was a chill job, for some reason it got very like toxic because of the people, I guess. So I was just like, and all the people that I liked working with, I guess they kind of left and went back to school or had other jobs that they had. So I just kind of was like, oh, I'm left behind, so I don't want to go and stay. But after that, I had 2 other jobs. I had gaps here and there. And then the last job I had was like, or the third job I had was like probably the most important one, which was like an internship, or I would call it an internship. And I feel like that was really, really big for me. But that will come later, or I can talk about it later if it comes up. So definitely second on the list is keeping a part-time job. The third was my shyness / introverted nature. I think that definitely holds you back from opportunities. Like if you're more shy, you feel more shy to like go for like networking events, which are very, very important, especially if you have a low GPA. I think networking is the best way to get your foot in the door. And I hate saying that because I'm pretty shy, and I know the struggle of like putting yourself out there is not very easy. So I definitely I was saying networking is important or I definitely get how you may feel if I say networking is very important, because when I heard that word too, it really scared me back in undergrad. But in all honesty, that's kind of what helped me get a job right away after graduating, was like taking advantage of those events, even though it's like extremely awkward and painful and you feel like you said like the dumbest thing ever. I think it is well worth it, because it can be very hard to find a job, especially if other people that you are like competing against, let's say, have like perfect resumes, internships and stuff. And this is not to scare you. I guess this is kind of just like a reality thing, unfortunately. But yes, I would say being shy and introverted definitely was a struggle for me. The fourth one was like, I would say definitely is my mental health. For me, I didn't like sort that out until like my very last year and a half. And advice on that can be really iffy because I feel like you should definitely talk to a doctor if you're feeling some sort of way about, your mental health. And yeah, it can be very hard because for me, just from my experience, I struggled a lot with it, like with anxiety, especially like getting random panic attacks and stuff. Like even just by going up the stairs, sometimes I would get a panic attack with my breathing and stuff. So that was kind of a weird one. But yeah, just stuff like that, worrying about like your breathing in class, maybe even small stuff. If that's stuff that tends to happen to you or is stopping you from focusing on school, or if you feel like your focus is not there, I definitely would say that's a very important one to get checked out with your doctor or talk about with your doctor, because that was definitely something that really helped me, was to speak to my doctor about my struggles with like focusing and like anxiety and all of that. And I'm not saying you should go on medication, but for me, going on medication was definitely very helpful. And it's different for everyone, so definitely do what's best for you. But aside from that, those are the main struggles that I had. So to recap, main struggles were definitely time management. 2 was keeping a part-time job. 3 was being more introverted or shy. And 4 was my mental health. So kind of how did I get through it is the next topic we're gonna go into. And to start off with number 1, the part-time job. Honestly, this is an iffy one because everybody's situation is different. So again, do what works best for you is the best advice I can give. But for me, I know my decision or gut feeling was to quit for a few months and just focus on school. And you may have to make some sacrifices because of that. Like maybe if you're living at a dorm, and I was living at my parents' house, you'll definitely have to cut on some costs, maybe rely on your parents more, which is unfortunate, but honestly most decisions do come with an if or but, sadly. So for me, solving that was maybe taking a step back. And honestly, if you feel like your part-time job and school is like really crushing you, maybe another solution is just to ask for less hours or to work less and hopefully your boss is very understanding. If not, then you know that place is definitely not for you, and it is definitely not worth working for a place that cares more about you coming into work than your well-being. So, but that's very easy said than done, because you can't, sometimes your situation may not be flexible for you to just up and quit your job. So of course you can always try to find another job before quitting, and hopefully that place is a lot better and more suited towards like your schedule. Yeah, that's kind of all I have for the part-time job piece. Let's see. Second point was, or no, the part-time job was the second point. The first topic was about was time management. So my bad, I flipped it. So anyways, let's go over the first one, which is, let me just move this first actually. So the first one definitely was time management. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, so you're definitely not alone. And I still struggle with that to this day with my post-grad certificate. It's definitely a challenge, especially since I work full-time now. And I'm in accounting, so we're very busy in specific months of the year. And yeah, I would say you just have to consider all aspects of your life. So if you have a part-time job, I would say the best thing you can do is probably honestly get a Google Calendar, or like if you like physical calendars, or whatever works best for you. Write down when your exams are, your assignments at the very least. If you have like a job that has like very random hours, like let's say when I was working at the grocery store back then, I would work either 4 to 8 some days, and then on the weekends it was like mornings or sometimes evenings. So I'd say write that down so you know when you have time to study, and you can also like visually see like when everything is due. So that's a good way to kind of keep track of everything is, and you're not scrambling to like be like, oh shoot, like I have work this day and my exam is like the next day or something, or in the next few days, and you're in a really big time crunch. If you have that picture on your Google Calendar or like a sort of guideline, at least you know, and you can like hold yourself accountable for when things are due. That's what worked best for me, I would say, visualizing everything. Also, I think figuring out a study method that works for you. For me, it was this study method. It's called Pomodoro. So for me, it was just study for 25 minutes, take a break for 5, and it kind of repeats for like 4 cycles. After the 4th cycle, you get a pretty big break, like a 15-minute break, and then it just keeps going and going until you get tired and you don't want to study anymore. But yeah, if that doesn't work for you, obviously do something else. Keep finding ways to study. I know for me, I had to keep going through like different ways to study till I found something that like has stuck with me until now. Some odd ones that I did in undergrad too was like this thing called Forest app, and it like locks down your phone. Not really. Basically, like if you leave the app or something, it'll like kill your virtual tree or whatever. And it kind of gamifies your experience. So if you're a very like gamify type of person and you like being rewarded for like doing something, that's a thing too that you could do. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that exist out there that can help you keep on track, discipline. So yeah, so that is the first point, which I need potions, so let me get out of here. Okay, I should go to Hennessy's actually, or go to Dreaming Lachlan and get the power elixirs. Let me get like 10 of these. Man, they're so cheap. It's so great. Okay. Anyways, that kind of sums it up for the second point / first point, whatever. Now it's confusing. The next one was, let me think. Oh, yes, let's talk about shyness. So definitely don't recommend this again if it doesn't work for you, but definitely talking to my doctor, getting medicated on anxiety medicine was a start for me. But obviously, please don't do that. Please talk to your doctor. But one thing that you can do that's not very like specific to a person, or I guess subjective, is kind of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I think that's a pretty big one. I know it sucks to do that. Like, it really does, because like your comfort zone is very comfy and it's a great place to be, but honestly, staying in there can really hold you back. And I would say if your career is important to you, definitely put yourself out there, or try to put yourself out there as best as you could. Especially if you're just like me and you had like pretty shitty GPA, you're gonna stand out there compared to other people who didn't attend those networking events, I would say. So you have, by showing your face there and like talking to the recruiters or like whatever, the managers, it's actually like a benefit for you too, because then you get to know the people that you're working with or potentially working with. And most of the time when you join those events and you get to like the second interview or whatever, and you get to know more employees, and like usually second interviews for accounting, they take you on a tour, you get to know like your coworkers more, your managers and whatnot. I'll say that's pretty important because, you know, these are people that you're going to be working with for a good chunk of your career, hopefully, unless you like to switch around. Nothing wrong with that. But I would say yes. I agree that it sucks, but it's like a necessary evil, I would say, to put yourself out there. And key point, especially if you have a bad GPA. Because then if you do, at least they can look past that and be like, oh, that person, wow, they got a shitty GPA, but damn, they are so personable and they seem like okay to work with. And honestly, after you graduate, none of that number doesn't matter in the end. As long as you're like a pretty decent person and you seem like you have a good personality and you're good to work with, I think that's what mostly matters. Of course, GPA still matters too because it does show that you did work hard. But if it's not there, you should make extra effort to put yourself out there. And that is the tough reality of it. So try to look around. There's always like, even for my very small school, we had like events posted on like social media. So keep your eye out for that. And if you go to like a physical school, they have like little pamphlets or I don't know what they're called, like little papers around for events that usually come up. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, that's my piece on it. I know that one kind of is an iffy one because it's kind of like when your parents tell you to pray if you have anxiety. So I get that, but I guess it is kind of the harsh truth about kind of getting a job after you graduate. I mean, I think the two things that are important is, and this could be like different for each major. I don't know how other majors work, but I feel like, let's talk about like business majors. Getting that internship and networking are like the two key ways you could get a job for sure after you graduate. But anyways, moving on to the last point, mental health. So this one's also a very touchy subject, I would say. And I think I have, let me just reset these. It's a very touchy subject and it's an iffy one to talk about, but I think the most I could say about it is if you feel like you're like sinking and you feel like a part of you not doing well, maybe due to your mental health, I would definitely talk to your family doctor, or if you don't have one, which was my case, try to find one. And that can be very hard to do because for me, where I live, getting a family doctor is kind of hard because every place seems pretty filled up. I'm honestly in the process of trying to find a new one, but lazy. But yeah, my first suggestion is if you feel like you're sinking with it and you feel like you're not focusing well because of your mental health, I definitely would talk to your doctor about it, and they can kind of direct you with options. And for me, this was very, very hard to do because it's not easy to talk about like struggling to a complete stranger that you don't know. But definitely I would say that's a pretty good first step. Also, some other ones, talk to people that you know you're close with, vent. I don't know if that's good advice really because you don't want to also put that heavy weight on somebody. So but if you feel like it's a lot, I definitely would say talk to someone out there, especially if you're struggling. That's a very important thing. You don't want to struggle alone and do everything all by yourself. It's a very hard thing to like do everything by yourself and face it alone, so. And if you don't have anyone to talk to, I'm definitely here. Drop your Discord here. No, but really though, I really feel bad if you are struggling through it at this time or during school, because it can be very difficult, especially if you have a lot on your plate and you feel like, honestly for me, when I was like in school, I felt very trapped, like especially since I was there for so long, it felt like it was never gonna end. So it was kind of depressing at the same time. But I think one of the big things was definitely sorting that out, trying to get help for that. And I think it truly helped me get to the finish line. And I feel like I'm giving really bad advice. So honestly, if anyone else has really good tips about your mental health or whatever, or anything related to mental health, kind of just drop it in the comments if you can. For me, that's something I'm still trying to figure out. And I know that, counseling services can be not so accessible when you don't have insurance, but if you're lucky to have that available to you, and I think most universities would have that option. I know in my university we had that option, and we also had insurance, so there's also an option that you may be insured for counseling. And I know they also have counseling like within the university, so that's also an option. But yeah, that kind of concludes it for the fourth point there. But anyways, this was a lot longer than my first talk and train. My first talk and train, I was a little salty when I was talking about it. Not even a little salty, pretty salty. But this one, I kind of tried to make an outline of it. Hint, I used ChatGPT to try to get an outline. But I still feel like I kind of zigzagged through those topics and wasn't very cohesive. So sorry about that. But that's all I have for today's video. Honestly, I'm struggling to find a good topic to talk about. So if you have anything that you want me to talk about, let me know. But yeah, pretty long one. So yeah, see ya. Make sure to tell me about your story down below. I like hearing about it. But anyways, I'm out.